If you ever want to have a lesson in advocacy, follow Yoichi around for one day. He just doesn't quit. He's steadfast in distinguishing right from wrong, fairness and equality, truth from hocus pocus. He's tireless on behalf of the students and educators in Guam, the Federated States of Micronesia, Palau, and the Mariana Islands. In fact, for many of us working in TRIO, in the continental U.S., he is the voice and the face of the students and the staff working in the islands. Now, we all know that he's a young man. We remain surprised he has boundless energy, strong spirit, and stamina to support our students. His energy is boundless, as I said earlier. His persistence is infinitive. His diligence is without limit. Regardless of how hard he works and pushes, he always does it with kindness. Yoichi, for all you've done, will continue to do on behalf of the students who are low-income, first generation, students in Guam and the islands, everywhere that TRIO does work, I'm pleased to honor you and present you with this 2016 Walter Mason Award.
Thank you very much. Earlier, the chairman said when I got a message from him, he used the word stunned. Let me explain a little bit. Because of time difference, he sent me a 1 or 2 sentence email, and it brought back memories when I was in high school, and you received that short note, you need to see the principal. And so things started to run through my mind. In May, I got upset with something with the council. So I sent like barrage of email messages to Angelica. And it wasn't her fault. And so the following day, I felt really bad. And so I called the FTD and sent flowers and a box of chocolate to Angelica, and I said, I'm sorry. When our students attended this year's National NSLC, National Student Leadership Conference, something happened, and the long short of it is that our students were transferred from the dorm to the hotel, and somebody told me that Al Phillips was responsible for it. And so I sent a not-so-friendly email message to Al, and I copied Jelly. And Jelly immediately said, wait, Al is at the hospital. There's something wrong with his leg. And so I felt really bad. And so I'm sitting in my office. If the chairman recall, I send him an email and says, we'll talk later. I need to go somewhere, which gave me time to think about what's going on. I finally decided I need to talk to the chairman because I ain't sending flowers and chocolates to Al Phillips. And so when I finally said, let's talk, when he said, are you going to the conference? I said, yes. And he said, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I stole my flowers and candy.
My family is with me here today. And you know, they flew all the way from Guam here. My wife, Sharon, my son, Eitaro, my daughter, Aislinn, and my youngest daughter, Shara. My oldest son, Callistus, is at home. He's taking care of our house while we're gallivanting to this great city. The saying, beyond every successful man, there is a woman, is not just saying, my wife is a living testament of that. Those of us who have been in this business for this long went through those challenging days, and writing grant proposals are not easy tasks. And I work 6 and 7 days a week. And when we first went to Guam, we had younger children, and my wife, even though she worked full-time, managed to take care of everything at the house. In 2 weeks, Sharon and I will be celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary. And so we've been married this long. One of my assistant directors, Rowena Andrade, one day said, "Yoichi, your wife deserves to receive the highest humanitarian award for being married to you." Well, that's because when you're in your professional side of yourself, you need to be able to fight the system. And that's what I have been doing, fighting the system on behalf of the students we serve. Let me just offer one small advice, if you will, for lack of a better term, to the new trio professionals here. And it's very simple. We each have our assigned program specialists from the Department of Education. My advice to you is, if you need to talk to them, let that be your last resort. Talk to Angelica at COE first. I am serious. Angelica knows the regulations and the law and the super circular better than I. And I'm serious, and there are times where I send her an email and she responded at around 11 o'clock at night, and my response was, "Don't you sleep?" So again, my advice to you is to contact COE first before you talk to your program specialist. I know there are a lot of good ones, but there are some that you shouldn't be talking to. Lastly, I shared this personal story during the WestUp Annual Conference in Hawaii in 2013. And I'd like to share it with you again, because I left a very important part of that story. In 1988, I attended my first National Council's annual conference. And those of us who have been here long enough to know it was called NCEOA at that time, National Council for Educational Opportunity, or National Council for NCEOA, Association rather. When I left home, my mom was admitted to the hospital with she was suffering from, she had, what am I saying? She had a major stroke, so she was admitted to the hospital. I was sitting in the lobby on the second or third day during lunch, and this tall, dark, and handsome young man walked over to me and said, "Are you attending the conference?" I said, "Yes." "You had lunch yet?" I said, "No." "Come, I'm taking you to lunch." So we left. He took me to the Democratic Club, and we had lunch, and we talked about TRIO. When we went back to the hotel, we said our goodbye to each other. And a friend of mine who was working for the Department of Education at that time was watching us. And as soon as we said goodbye, this man ran to me and he said, "Do you know who is that man?" I said, "Yeah, his name is Mitch." He said, No, I'm saying, do you know that man?" "I just told you his name is Mitch." He says, Yoichi, that's Dr. Arnold Mitchum. He's the head of this association. And I walked away thinking, if this tall, dark, and handsome young man who is also head of this association took me out to lunch, I must be worth something. That evening, during the presidential banquet, the hotel pays me because my mom had passed away. There is a saying in my Palawan religion called Mudaknge, if you read it in the booklet. And the saying goes something like this: a person's wealth is measured not by the material assets that he or she has, but by the number of friends that he or she has. On that day, my mom passed away, but a new friendship was born, and it has grown. Westap, where are you? COE? Yes. And that tall, dark, and handsome young man is still with us today. Thank you very much, Dr. Arnold Mitchum. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, everybody. Oh.